This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. This is officially the world's best podcast called DreamPod. My name is Tom. Unfortunately, we don't have Ross doing a really bad impression of me this time. I'm actually here in the flesh. However, Ross is here all the way from Japan. Hi, Ross.
Hey guys, konbanwa.
Yeah, a very good episode you did last time with Scott. If you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, you go back and listen to episode 30, which was the Naomi, or sorry, as Ross pronounces it, as Naomi.
Yes, Naomi. Yes.
That was a really good episode. It's like nearly 2 hours of two geeks talking about arcades. So yeah, that's really good. We have quite a full house here today. Actually, we've got pretty much the entire team because we've got. Quite an important Dreamcast-related subject we're going to talk about, but we'll get to that shortly. In fact, you probably already know what it is if you've looked at the title of the podcast, so ignore that. We have, all the way from upstate New York, we have Caleb.
Hello, Tom.
And we also have from somewhere near Bristol, we have Mike.
Hello, Tom.
And we also have the Gagaman, Aaron the Gagaman. Is it Foster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a blank then. I was like, what's his surname? Yeah. Hello, Aaron.
Who's this guy?
We do also have a very special guest host. His name is Stephen, but he goes by the alter ego of a TV-headed man with a Dreamcast swirl on it, known as Dreamcast Hub. Hello, Stephen, and thank you very much for agreeing to come on the show.
It's really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm sure if people are not really familiar with who you are, if you go to dreamcasthub.com, you'll find quite a rather lovely Dreamcast website, and also your
Thank you for that.
No problem. Your Facebook group and page are quite popular as well, and obviously the Twitter as well. But you, I mean, what's your background with the Dreamcast? I mean, when did you first get involved?
So, I mean, basically, my first Dreamcast experience was, I mean, roughly when it came out. It was my friend that actually had one, and we basically just played Soul Calibur all day. A bunch of different stuff too, like Choo Choo Rocket, all that. I always kind of wanted one. I was just envious of them. And then years later, I kind of got out of it because I kind of got out of gaming for a little bit. And then when I got back into it, I knew exactly what system I needed to get because there were tons of games that I never played for it. So it was about 7 or 8 years ago or so. I got my first personal Dreamcast, and it kind of just went crazy from there. I wound up getting like the VGA box and then $450 HDMI upscaler for it.
Nice.
It was all in just a pursuit to get the perfect experience out of it. I love the system. It's nothing makes me happy like it does.
Yeah, I mean, I follow your like social media streams, and you know, there's a lot of obviously a lot of love there for the Dreamcast. It's not just do you remember this game? Like, you know, #retro gaming. I can see.
Have you played?
Yeah,
Sega Adventure.
Does anybody else remember this?
No, I can see. There's a genuine.
Ever heard of Shenmue?
No, there's a genuine love for the system, and that's evident in all of your like social media stuff. So yeah, it's great to have you on. You're obviously an expert in the Dreamcast, and obviously an expert in the subject we'll be talking about later on in the podcast. So we'll get to that and hear your views and opinions.
Yes.
But before we do that, as we always start these podcasts, we're going to go around the table, quite a packed, busy table today, and just really talk about things that we may have picked up or played on in the recent past. I'll go first because I can.
Running this.
So recent pickups for the Dreamcast. I got a game called Redline Racer, which is the Japanese original version of Suzuki All-Star Extreme Racing. And I did a recent post about it on the Dreamcast Junkyard, like looking at the differences between the two games. Quite big differences, really, graphically. Anyway, I also managed to get my hands on, finally, I've wanted a Sega Sports Black Dreamcast for as long as I can remember. And I've also wanted a Regulation 7 Black Dreamcast for as long as I can remember. And they both came up on eBay from the same seller for a ridiculously cheap price.
Yeah, very nice.
So jealous.
Yeah, so I mean,
cool.
As soon as I saw them, I thought to myself, I can't afford it, but I know I'm going to end up buying them. So I just used my credit card, and now they are sat quite happily in my little games room. And
with your rainbow of Dreamcasts.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that looks nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing on the Dreamcast front. I've not really played a lot of Dreamcast stuff other than the games that I've played for researching this episode. But on the current gen stuff, I've been playing a lot of Dirt Rally on the PS4, and also, Mike, I know you'll appreciate that.
Oh yes.
And also, I got the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, and I'd never played any of the Uncharted games on the PS3, and I thought, now they're on the PS4, I'll get them and see what it's all about. And I'm totally hooked. I think it's a phenomenal series. I'm so addicted to them. It's brilliant. I can't wait for number 4 to come out next week. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, okay, let's go around the table. Stephen, seeing as you're our guest, we'll come to you first. Have you had any recent pickups or?
Many, actually. As obsessively as I always am, I wind up picking up new games. The one I got recently, which actually caught me by surprise, was Lost Golem. Quickly became one of my, literally my favorite puzzle experience ever.
Such an underrated little game.
It really is. Me and my wife play it together. We take turns and stuff trying to figure out the puzzles. It's actually genius, the way they implement little new mechanics in each puzzle to kind of always keep it interesting. Again, I'm on level 65 and just cannot wait till the next one.
And you can make your own levels as well, can't you? So
I did not even know that.
Yeah, there's a mode that lets you just create. You end up finding all the mechanics that way, low, so it's a bit spoilerish in a way.
壁が繋がってない残念でした is what you the question you asked me. You're like, what's this mean?
Yeah, dude, that explained the entire game. Without that, I would not have ever gotten as far as I did. But yeah, I mean, it's a genius little game, and it's got amazing music and sound effects that put you in a calm, awesome mood at the end of the day. It's just a beautiful game.
Lovely.
Also, I got King of Fighters 2001, thereby completing my King of Fighters collection for Dreamcast, which I'm very happy about. Always been a fan of all the SNK games. I only need 3 more to have a complete SNK set. So the only ones I need are Last Blade 2, SNK Capcom vs SNK Pro, which I just recently learned about, and Capcom vs SNK 2. And then I don't even know why I don't have that yet. But
is that all of them? I'm trying to think. I'm racking my brain now. Maybe that is all of them.
What's that?
All of the SNK games on Dreamcast.
Have you got Mark of the Wolves?
Dude, that is god tier. That game.
I've got one. What's it called? The rhythm action game. It's actually free.
Cool Tune.
Yes, Cool Tune. Isn't that SNK?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that one. I was thinking of all the fighters. I love obscure titles, though.
There you go, Stephen. You've got another one now you need to get.
My wallet thanks you.
Do you play anything like current gen? Have you got a PS4 or an Xbox One or anything like that?
So I'll tell you, I had a PS4. What happened was this: I basically had to move, and I wound up getting paid $390 for a PS4 I used for 2 years. So not bad. And the other thing is I have a PC. So really the only thing I play current gen is PC. I'm
kind of the same. Metal
Gear Solid 5 is perfect. But honestly, I really don't get into a lot of the new gen stuff, mainly because I don't appreciate where it's taken to. I don't kind of like where gaming is right now for the most part. I'm a big fan of having the whole game on one disc. I don't know why. I'm particular that way. But it's something that has really turned me off on a lot of new gaming, because most of it is kind of cash grab. You know what I mean? Designed specifically to make money, not because this is something we poured our heart into, and this is, beautiful and amazing, and we took some chances here. It's always, we followed that formula that made us money last time, and we can't wait for you to spend more. So
somebody who shares your thoughts on current gen gaming is Ross. So we'll come to Ross next. Ross, what have you been doing?
Well, yeah, I won't repeat it. Me and Scott went into a bit of a rant last podcast about the state of current gen. So yeah, I won't repeat that. But yeah, I've not been playing much, at least not at home. But I've had a 10-day vacation. It's actually tomorrow's the last day, and I went to Tokyo, and while I was there, I went to the Game On exhibition.
Oh, yeah.
Which is it's an exhibition. I believe it started in the UK, actually.
Yeah, I went to it years ago.
Did you?
Quite a while ago, yeah. It was about a decade ago.
I wonder if it's grown in size since then, or if it was always
It was when I was in college, I believe, when it popped up in London.
It took up a massive hall, and there was one room full of arcade machines. They had they had a few specialized Sega arcade cabinets I'd never played before, Hang-Ons.
Ours didn't have that.
Afterburner. G-Boss.
Oh, that's epic.
They even had, which Scott will be very jealous about when he hears, they even had airline pilots for the Sega Naomi,
Oh,
which is like a specialized cab. It's like a proper flight simulator. Like I played it.
Is it the triple screen one?
No, it's not. There is a triple screen version, but this is just single screen.
Oh, okay.
But I believe it was one of the games that had. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. Yeah, and it's ridiculously hard. Like when you adjust your like the direction of the plane, like the delay in when the plane actually moves is. I know. I've never flown a plane, but I imagine it mimics like the time it takes for a real huge jumbo jet to make that turn. So it's very different. Anyway, there were plenty of consoles there from all through the ages. They had, as for Dreamcast games, they had Soul Calibur there representing. They had Rez on PS2, Shenmue, and maybe one or two others. But the biggest thing for me was getting to play Rez Infinite on PSVR.
Wow!
Did you wear the did you wear the big suit?
Oh yeah!
Did you wear the vibrator
I was
suit?
thinking the same.
Did they provide a change of pants?
No. I just played the game. Of course, it was amazing. Like an experience like I've nethe before. It was. I mean, I don't think the graphics have really been improved at all since the Dreamcast version. Really, they've only ever updated the resolution. But yes, it's for a Dreamcast game. That game has aged better than anything. I think. Better than better than Shenmue. Shenmue, as beautiful of a game as it is, it's still got cracks around the edges now, whereas Rez still looks absolutely fantastic.
I think that's partially due to the artistic style, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's all about the art style. Yeah.
But it was amazing, and I've actually already made a video about my experience. I mean, I couldn't take any footage because, like a lot of these events, you're not allowed to record gameplay footage. But they did let me film myself and my girlfriend playing the game, so. I did a Let's Play video on the 360, and then I overlaid videos of us playing the game. And
I just have one question. And now this is the thing where you remember when the Wii came out and everybody was like destroying their TVs somehow?
Yeah.
I'm trying to start a thing on Twitter that's like hashtag VR apocalypse.
Yeah.
And basically, like, did anybody there when they're using the VR set? Did anybody there just completely just fall over or knock anything over?
But I played Rez and I also played London Heist, and both of them you're sat down. In fact, all the games, the other games were Playroom and The Deep, and out of all those games, you're all sat down. I don't think there's any games designed.
I think it's mainly 5 games that actually have you walking around, isn't it?
Yeah.
HTC 5 stuff, yeah.
I think the closest thing to that I've seen is when I was at Play Blackpool, which is an event in the UK. Last year I played I had to go on the Oculus Rift, and where they sat people down, they were on these like spinny round chairs, and as you were moving your head around, you'd actually see people just spinning around on these chairs, because of the like momentum of the body moving. It's just like really weird, people spinning around with Oculus Rifts on.
I really have got to try that one day.
I was sat on a regular stationary chair, and like within 10-20 seconds of putting on the headset and starting the game, like I forgot everything that was around me, and I could like feel I felt as if my chair was flying through the Rez world, like shooting shit. It was amazing.
Quick question about it. Did you try turning your head all the way back? Could you see anything behind you as well? Because that's something you never got in the original game, because it was obviously always from the front view. But I wonder what was behind you.
Yeah, I covered that in my video, and actually it's quite interesting the different way me and my girlfriend played the game. Like I'm like most of you, probably a bit of a Rez veteran. I've played all the versions for the last 15 years, so I'm like instinctively just using the analog stick, whereas my girlfriend, she wasn't using the analog stick so much, and she was like looking.
Yeah, because you can use your eyes to aim, can't you?
Yeah. And you can also, for example, I missed one enemy and it flew behind me, and like in the old game, that enemy's gone. You can't get your 100% shoot down. Now you can look straight behind you and pick up the stragglers. Yeah.
Have you seen I believe it was Dreamcast guy, I think it was, just correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody had actually set up Oculus Rift using the Dreamcast later.
PC Wizard.
Apparently nearly all the games work with it.
I think it was all the games that use the mouse.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Any game that uses a mouse would change the
it's
tracking.
Unfortunate. Mach X would look amazing.
You're still getting two of the same image, though, surely.
It kind of does it by itself and moves it a little bit, so you get that 3D effect still. I forget, he did a whole video on it. Like, he had actual video and uploaded it to YouTube and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was Quake 3 Arena he was playing, wasn't it? Yeah, so I'll put a link to that video in the sort of the show notes at the bottom of this episode, so people can go and have a look at that, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's really interesting, Ross. Thanks for sharing that. And I look forward to seeing the video that you're putting up soon.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Aaron, what have you been playing?
I've been mainly catching up on some games that I've had in my backlog. That's stuff that I've just not kind of recently bought. I bought Buggy Heat from London Gaming Market the other month. Played a little bit of that. I only ever played the demo of it previously. It's pretty fun, you know.
It is. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. I don't like the screeching noise of the when you're on the road and you go. No, that's kind of annoying.
You even get that screeching noise when you're on the sand as well. I found that it's just really
I
weird.
think so. I think it does change slightly, but yeah, well, in particular when you're on the roads, when you screech around the corner, it's like, oh my god, it's like nails and chalkboard.
For those people who don't know what we're talking about, is it TNN Hardcore Heat?
Yeah, that's what it was called in America.
Yeah, I never actually got to try that one.
I think I got the Japanese version, and I don't know if the PAL one had voice acting, but the Japanese one definitely does.
I've got an interesting story actually about Buggy Heat on one of the Dreamcast. It's one of the Dreamcast partners. The Dreamcast Express demo disc.
Oh yeah.
There's a playable demo of a really early version of it, and it has this thing where you can actually move the camera with the analog stick. So it's kind of...
I might have that.
It's such a weird demo because it's nothing like the final game.
Must be like an alpha build.
Mike, have you played that?
I haven't. I think I've seen a video on YouTube.
Which volume was it?
I think it's volume 1.
Yeah, I think I might have that then. I'll have to try that.
Anything else you've been playing or picked up?
Yeah, there was another game that I bought recently that I started playing a bit of, Death Crimson 2. I already had Death Crimson OX and the original Sega Saturn one, which I did a video of a little while ago.
Yeah.
I was expecting 2 to actually be more or less the same, because I just heard most people were saying it's more or less identical, but OX is better. And even though both games definitely use all the same assets, like have a lot of the same enemies and the same scenery, there's actually quite a few differences, mainly the story mode. In OX, it's more like a just straight up arcade game. The story is pretty much laid out exactly like House of Dead 2. It's just in the middle of the levels, and there's no voice acting. But in 2, there's like a proper sort of almost like a Resident Evil style mode. It's like you actually walk around and like explore and you solve puzzles and stuff, and there's loads of voice acting. It's quite surprised actually. It's kind of like a really low budget like Resident Evil style thing, and then it takes you into the actual shooter levels eventually as well. So I was quite surprised by that. And there's another feature in the game that I only found out when I looked it up on GameFAQs. And it was, this game's actually compatible with the microphone.
Wow.
Yeah, you can record your voice. You can record up to 3 seconds, like 3 different samples, and then it will use them in the game for when you get shot. So you can just put anything you want. You could just say anything you want into the mic. It comes out a bit quiet from what I found.
Like, fuck! Oh!
Yeah. Every time you get shot, you can just put in anything you want. It's kind of special. I didn't even know about it until I looked it up on GameFAQs. I mean, I got the game pretty cheap, but I was just thinking, I'll just get it to complete my Death Crimson trilogy of terribleness. But it's actually quite surprised by like some of the stuff that's exclusive to this one. So I think I'm definitely going to have to do a faff about in video of that as well, just to mess around with the audio, because I told Stacey about it and she was like, oh yes, we can audio abuse this.
Now is that playable with a controller?
Yeah, you can play both of those with the controller.
Oh, that's so good. I may have to pick that up then.
Yeah, I must admit I was quite surprised it had. I was just expecting it to be a worse version of OX, but it's actually it is a worse version of OX, but it's got these extra things that kind of make it worth it as well.
Let's move on. Mike.
Hello, Tom.
The quiet man.
I am. Well, yeah. It's been a long day.
So I believe your team won a promotion to the.
Yes, we did. We did, Tom. Yes, thanks for mentioning it.
No problem. Congratulations.
Yes, excellent. Yes, it's been a long and very pleasant day.
Which team was it?
It's Bristol Rovers, the mighty Bristol Rovers.
For those listening around the world, the mighty Bristol Rovers have won promotion. Is it back to League One or the Championship?
Yeah, League One.
Excellent. So congratulations. And now back on topic.
Yes.
Have you been playing anything on your Dreamcast or picked anything up?
I haven't played anything for about a week on Dreamcast, apart from today, but we'll get to that later. I have received a game, and the game, which I'm going to allow Ross to pronounce for me, because Ross sent it to me.
I can't even remember the full name without it in front of me.
So it's Fushigi Dungeon, is it?
Fushigina Dungeon. What's it called? I can't remember the rest of the title.
I only got
something Shiren? I can't even remember the name.
That. Basically that.
Yeah. It's a mystery dungeon game.
Yeah. It's so I got that, and I got another game on the way as well, which is Capcom versus is it Capital Striker? All Stars, a table game.
Oh yeah,
the Mahjong game.
Yeah, Mahjong game. Yeah.
Is this Mahjong? Yeah. So it's. I think hopefully that'll arrive on Monday, but I'm quite happy I got that because it's not the easiest thing to find, at least this side of the world. But mainly it's been on the PS4. I'm going to have to copy you, Tom, because I've just done the exact same thing you have this week. So I've been playing Dirt Rally.
Excellent.
And I've been playing Uncharted 2 again.
Excellent. Yes. Same. I'm actually on Uncharted 2 as we speak.
Yeah. Uncharted 2 is my favourite game from last generation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I completed Uncharted 2 when it first came out. Massive Uncharted fan.
That's the best one, I think.
It is, yeah. Uncharted 3 was good, but it was too much. There was too much stopping and starting. There wasn't enough action in Uncharted 3.
Have you played the Vita version?
I have.
It's good. I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as 2 or 3, but I still enjoyed it for like an on-the-go title.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Sorry to jump in there. The Vita version was the first Uncharted I'd ever played. I'd never played any before that, and I thought it was really, really good. And so that's really what kind of planted the seeds in my mind that I need to get the Nathan Drake collection, and I'm not disappointed at all. You know, it's one of the best series I've ever played.
Yeah.
So just those 2 games on the PS4 then, Mike?
Well, Dirt Rally's on the Xbox One. But,
right, okay, yeah.
Like, I can't get on with the PS4 controller. I hate the Sony controllers. I just can't deal with. For racing games, at least.
I really like. My mate's got an Xbox One. I love the D-pad on that, like clicky D-pad.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Neo Geo Pocket a little bit.
Yeah, it even works well on Killer Instinct, which I didn't expect. So you look at it and it looks terrible for 2D fighters, but it works pretty well.
It's actually really nice, yeah.
I think for racing games, it beats the PS4 pad.
Cheers for that, Mike. We'll move on. Last, but by no means least, Caleb, what have you been doing on the Dreamcast or otherwise?
I have been going through my duplicates. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it that I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. I've been too busy to play any video games, really. I dipped my toes into Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition on the PC. And boy, speaking of speaking of the game the Gaga Man was talking about earlier, Death Crimson 2, you shoot skeletons in that game. And I've been trained through various RPGs that you're supposed to kill skeletons. But in Dark Souls, apparently you're not supposed to try to kill skeletons. And after a good 25 years of playing a game where you're supposed to kill skeletons, clearly in this game, for some reason, you're not supposed to kill skeletons.
What about bats? Because bats you always have to kill in video games.
No, I haven't seen any bats so far.
Bats are your friends in Dark Souls.
So in any case, that's pretty much all that I've been doing. I've been seeing if there's a way I can organize my VMU collection. I have a huge collection because I bought out when GameStop did their lovely clearance sale. And the store that I always went into and asked is, well, do you have any Dreamcast stuff? And they always told me no. And then I went to a store in Syracuse, which is about 2 hours away, about 2 months later. And they said, oh, yeah, we got a bunch of Dreamcast stuff on clearance. And they pulled out like this box of like brand new VMUs and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, where'd this stuff come from? Oh, it came from the store in Watertown. So that is the store I had been going into and like talking to the people there, asking if they had any Dreamcast stuff.
They were GameStop
and every time, and they told me no, absolutely not. They had no Dreamcast stuff. And the timeline works out that yes, they had literally boxes of Dreamcast stuff, but apparently the dudes there just didn't want to go in the back and get it or whatnot. I'm not sure.
They probably didn't know what it was.
Maybe they just don't even know what Dreamcast is.
Yeah.
We don't sell the Sega anymore.
So that's pretty much all that I've been doing. I have a lot of stuff that I need to get better storage solutions for. Most of it's in plastic bins, but some of it's just kind of random places. We did that excellent Dreamcast Junkyard poster where we showed off all our collections, and I had pictures from various places around my townhouse because my Dreamcast stuff is all kind of scattered around my place and it's not really in a central location. So
townhouse is a real word. What does it mean? My girlfriend said the word the other day and I was like, that's not a word.
It's like 2 houses that are built like as the same building but 2 different residences.
What?
Yes,
a semi-detached house?
Yeah, it's attached.
It's like a TARDIS. You walk inside the house and there's a whole town inside it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go with I think I'll go with that.
Apologise to my girlfriend.
That's cool. So that's a nice little rundown of everything we've been playing and bought in the recent past. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the main meat of this episode, and that is shmups.
Yay!
Shmups. And we'll be back after this.
31, where bullet heaven turns quickly into bullet hell.
I'm so hungry now.
Thank you for that, Caleb. Last time on DreamPod. No.
Last time on DreamPod podcast.
Okay, shmups. Shmups, we either love them or hate them. Shmup, for those people who don't know, is a shortening of the term shoot 'em up, which in turn is a shortening of the term shoot them up. I just wanted to clarify that. Dreamcast is synonymous with the genre, really. I can't think of another system that's as synonymous with the shmup genre now as the Dreamcast is. I know the Neo Geo's got a lot of them on it, but yeah, Dreamcast is really the number one system for shmups. And there's still do I hear a bone of contention being raised?
I have to, as much as I don't want to, I kind of have to agree a little.
No. But the Sega Saturn ports, none of them are arcade perfect. Very few are arcade perfect. You're better off playing them on MAME. On Dreamcast, at least, they're like near 100% arcade perfect.
It's because that's what keeps getting.
Fired well.
Like, indie-wise.
Before it descends into the House of Lords, we'll go through what a shmup is, and I'll ream off a list of all the shmups on the Dreamcast, and then we'll discuss.
It's a silly word, I'll say that.
Yeah, when I was typing out the running order for this episode, every time I typed the word shmup, the Mac changed it to chump, and it was only at the end of me typing I realised that it changed it to chump, and I was like, oh my god. So yeah, we're going to talk
Max,
about chumps.
what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
My favourite chump.
So the way this is going to work is we've all
What chumps have you been playing with?
We've all picked 3 games from the chump or shmup genre. We've picked our favourite, our second favourite, or like an honourable mention, and we've also chosen our least favourite. And what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table and we're each going to reveal which is, first of all, our second favourite, then our worst, and then our favourite in that order. And just have a little bit of a discussion about each one. However, before we do that, I'm going to read out the list of every single shmup on the Dreamcast, which was compiled very helpfully by my good friend Mike, who is over here to my left. Say hello, Mike.
Hello.
That's Mike. This is the list.
Points to anyone who can name any he's missed.
Yeah, I already missed one.
I'm thinking one he may not count, but we'll see.
Okay, did he... I'm just say this right away before anybody else says it. Did he include Sega Gaga?
No. I was going to, but I didn't.
Point to Caleb! I got that before Aaron did, and he's got Gaga in his name!
There is actually one more dating game that's got a shmup mini game within it. I can't remember the name right now.
Almost bought it. I thought it was a full shmup. It was advertised to me improperly.
Can't remember the name now. I wish I could, but there you go.
Anyway, going back to the list that Mike has helpfully compiled for me, because I'm too stupid to do it myself. We'll start. These are in no particular order, and they're not in alphabetical order either. I'm just going to go through them now. We've got Gigawing, Gigawing 2, Gunbird 2, Mars Matrix, Border Down, Chaos Field, Ikaruga, Karas. Cyvaria 2, The Will to Fabricate, best name ever. Radilji, Rainbow Cotton, Shikigami no Shiro 2, Trigger Heart Excelika, Trizeal, Twinkle Star Sprites, Under Defeat, Zero Gunner 2, Dux 1.5, Fast Striker, Ghostblade, Last Hope Pink Bullets, Neo XYX, Sturmwind, or Sturmwind, as Scott was quite apt to pronounce it. And last but not least, Redux Dark Matters.
Right, Ikaruga.
You forgot Dux 1.1 and 1.2 and 2.7.
And Fast Striker 1.5.
Ikaruga and Millennium Soldier.
Ooh. I'm actually glad Ikaruga's not there, isn't it?
Ikaruga's there.
I did say Ikaruga.
Mike, one job, Mike.
I said Ikaruga. I said it.
So have we settled whether Bangai is
so Millennium...
Everyone settle down.
Very
right.
heated, this.
To address these points in order, Ross, I did say Ikaruga.
Oh, did you?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Ross.
Sorry, I'm
Now,
drunk.
he said Millennium Soldier is... I just want to make one point clear. Is that expendable? Millennium Soldier is expendable.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
It is a fun game. However, the thing I wanted to bring in next at this point is there are several games which many people may consider them to be shmups. But before we continue, I want to just talk about these very briefly. Yeah. So the first one is, as Ross says, Millennium Soldier expendable. But there's also Bangai-O. Now, the jury's out on these two. Are they shmups? Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Fight!
Yes.
Yes, it's a shmup. There's over 1,000 sprites on screen. Yep.
No.
The point could be made that Millennium Soldier is more of a
arena shooter.
See, now I don't even know. I
Shooter.
can call it like a Contra style game.
Zero Gunner 2 is also an arena shooter.
You shoot bullets. That's all that matters.
Look, I'm sorry. If we're considering Millennium Soldier a shmup, Bangai has to be a shmup.
But if Millennium Soldier is not a shmup, then Zero Gunner 2 is not a shmup.
Nonsense.
Well, there's no bullet hell in Millennium Soldier. You just shoot.
You don't have to.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a bullet hell, does it?
Bullet hell shmup is.
Well, it's got to have more than
shmup.
10 bullets at once. I feel.
Before this descends into a free for all,
Space Invaders is a shmup.
Before this completely descends into a complete free for all, I'm just going to rein this one back in. Okay, I'm going to put my foot down here and say that Millennium Soldier Expendable is not a shmup.
What?
Agreed.
No.
I'm also going to say.
I've always liked Tom.
I'm also going to say that in the interests of this particular episode, I don't class Bangai-O as a shmup either.
I'm looking at my copy right now, and a tear is going down my cheek. Just so you all know.
Coming from someone who gave Ghostblade a positive review. Who said that? Who said that? How dare you?
Okay, so is it weird? Okay, so is it weird that I would consider Tom's right that Millennium Soldier / Expendable is not really a shmup, but I would actually say Cannon Spike.
Yeah,
Cannon Spike. I would say that is more of a shmup than anything else.
I would say that more of a would be a good qualifier.
More of a, yeah.
I'm just saying, I can't find the proper words to
It
explain.
usually ends up on the list.
It has the gameplay feel of a multi-directional shooter.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree unless anybody's chosen any of those games for their lists. Have you?
I might have done.
Okay,
I've got a backup, so I'm good.
Okay, that's thrown a bit of a spanner into the works, but we'll come to that when we'll address that when we need to. For now, what we'll do is we're going to jump straight into the discussion, and we're going to go around the table. And the first game that we're going to talk about, each of us in turn, is our honourable mention, our second favourite, if you will, the one that we've chosen, not as our favourite, but one that would happily play if our favourite wasn't available. So I'm going to come to you, Ross, first. I'm going to ask what's your second favourite? What did you choose?
Right, it probably is Zero Gunner 2, but I know someone else is going to mention it as their favourite or second favourite, so I'm going to go with a little bit of a hidden gem, which is not actually on Dreamcast, but it's on one of the Dreamcast, the family, on a console of the Dreamcast family.
Does that really count?
Of course it does. Senko no Rond for the Naomi. And if you want to play this, you can pick it up on 360.
I had a big list. You had that huge list to pick from, and you pick something that probably 5 people have played.
Well, everyone's got a 360, so I recommend you to give it a go. It's a unique take on a shmup genre. It's like a cross between a shmup and a one-on-one fighting game.
Oh, I remember there was petitions for a Dreamcast port of that back in the day.
Yeah, and it probably just missed the deadline, I guess. I'm not sure when it came, really, but it probably came after Sega stopped supporting the system. But
yeah, I think it was around the time Karos came out.
So go ahead, Ross, explain what this game is and why you like it.
Well, so basically you pick one of, I can't even remember how many, but you pick one of around 10 ships, and you fight another opponent who's also in a ship. You move around the screen however you like, kind of like Zero Gunner 2 or Millennium Soldier, and you have like 2 main attacks to fire at each other, and you've got to dodge them just like a bullet hell shmup. And then also you have just like in a 2D beat 'em up, you have your special moves, and they fill the screen with bullets and stuff, and your opponent's got to dodge them. And it's great fun.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's not on the Dreamcast, so what you've just said there doesn't count at all.
Did you want to pick one for PC or TurboGrafx or?
It's on a system in the Dreamcast family.
Okay, it doesn't count. Moving on. Mike.
Yes.
Mike, I'm going to come to you next. What's your second favourite?
This is a difficult one. I'm going to go for Sternwind, or however you want to pronounce it. Sternwind.
Go ahead. Why do you like this game?
I'll start this now. This is probably not the best thing to say in the middle of a special on shooters, but I've never really been into shmups that much until about 4 years ago, when I set about the ridiculous task of reviewing every single game on a Dreamcast. I started playing them, and I love them now. So I play most of the games I play because they're nice and short and nice and quick to play. Sternwind came out when it came out. I got it when it first came out, and I was amazed by graphics for an indie release for Dreamcast.
Stunning looking game.
It is. I know some people might disagree with that, mentioning no names, but it's amazing. The game's amazing. I think the amount of the depth of the game as well is huge. I think compared to a lot of shooters on the Dreamcast at least. And I also think the use of the SD card, for instance, was really good. I think it's still the only game which can use the SD card reader at all, I think.
What does it use it for?
It saves replays and saves your progression.
That's pretty badass.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it saves your progression as well. So you obviously, if you get to a certain bit, you can save it, which is, I think, for me, who's not a sort of hardcore score chaser, I just like to finish the game. It's a great game. It's close. Like I said, that was a tough choice.
All right, then let's move on to you, Aaron.
I was going to pick Bangai-O, but because it don't count.
One thing I will say, if it helps, on the official wiki page, it is listed as a shoot 'em up. Just saying.
Okay, go on then, Bangai-O. We'll let it in. We'll let it in.
Bangai-O.
Let it in. Go on.
Look, we let worse in already. So
I was going to say, if I couldn't count that, then I would have probably picked, even though I don't have it on a Dreamcast, I have it on the Saturn. I would have picked Twinkle Star Sprites.
No, you can have Bangai-O now. So
that's an interesting game.
Okay, Bangai-O then.
Any particular reason?
It's amazing.
Okay, then moving on.
No, but really, there's just so much to that game. I'm not very good at it, but there's a cheat that just lets you be invincible and stuff, so I just end up sticking around with that.
So there's a hard mode.
It's ridiculous. I just love how the amount of bullets you shoot depends on how many bullets they're shooting, if that makes any sense. When you use the bombs, like the homing missiles, if there's thousands of them, you shoot thousands of them to counteract them ones. And the game sometimes slows down. There's so many missiles, and it just gets kind of intense when you're on like some of the last bosses that just shoot millions of missiles at you, and it all just slows down. It just looks incredible.
Now, is there any other game where you pick up more fruit? I can't think of any other game where you pick up as much fruit as you do in Bangai-O.
Dead Rising? It's the only one I can think of.
Another thing I really love about Bangai-O, I've got the PAL version. The American version and the PAL version have completely different translations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
The American
That's weird.
one's kind of like an accurate translation. It's like direct and it's a bit stale sounding. But the British one, they just threw the whole script out and just rewrote it. Cool. It's almost like a Magic Roundabout kind of situation. And they've just, all the dialogue is just weird. And the ending to the game, like there's this bit where the final boss sort of goes, oh, well, once I was a kid, and then it just comes out with walls of text for like 4 seconds that you can't read of like this backstory of why he became the final boss or something. And
Cool, that's quite funny.
The story in that game, especially in particular in the PAL version, I found, because I looked up gameplay of the American one, I was like, oh, it's completely different, and it doesn't have lines like, okay, father, I shall beat the men.
Does the PAL version work through VGA?
I think it does if you use like an action replay disc and stuff.
How about the American through action replay?
I'm not sure because I haven't tried the American
one. It
one.
works through DCX. It works through DCX, I think.
If you use any of those pass-through discs, it works fine. So
that's awesome.
Because that's how I play it.
Excellent, good choice. All right then. Even though we've first of all we disavowed it and then we've brought it back in. So
thanks to Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Been edited now. I'm editing that.
Citation needed.
Classified as a romance novel.
Okay, let's move on. Stephen, what's your second favourite?
As you all know, I would pick Ducks. No, I'm just fucking joking. Mario Maker, of course. No, Gigawing. Absolutely. Basically, I know Gigawing 2 is more expensive, and I cannot figure out why for the life of me. But basically put Gigawing, it's all sprite graphics, which I'm a big fan of. And it's super fun gameplay, and it's really quick. It's got co-op, which is great. Me and my wife play it a lot, so that's always fun.
That'd probably be my number 3, to be honest.
In co-op mode, you can just destroy that game. You can be constantly invincible, basically. It's good fun, though. I played it with a mate. We had a great laugh.
The only problem I would say with it is because it has infinite lives, it's not much of a challenge to get through.
Not
obviously.
really, no. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the cool part is at least it does have replay value because of the fact that, you have different stories that arc off depending on which 2 characters you pick. And it's not even based on each individual one. It's how they interact as well. And also the music is just amazing. And also that score winds up being ridiculous.
One song that just keeps going, come on!
A great song.
It definitely goes on for it.
Come on! on.
That was quite a good impression, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, nice one. Cheers, Stephen, for that. Caleb, your second favourite.
For my second favorite game, I would have to say it is Castle Shigagami 2, aka Shigagami no Shiro.
Excellent.
2.
And why in particular?
I really like the imagery. There's people that moonwalk back and forth. There's a character who throws cards, and it's all very It's all very interesting to look at, and the gameplay is it's nice and slidey. I want to say, which I enjoy a lot. Good. So it's just, and it seems to be a game where I can just kind of flip around and not die instantly. So it's a little bit more forgiving than other games.
Rob did a really good review of it on the Dreamcast Junkyard main blog a few months ago, maybe last year it was sometime. And I'd never heard of it prior to his review, and it really made me want to play it. But when it comes up on eBay, it's so expensive that it's kind of prohibitive,
Yeah, I can't afford that one.
No price is prohibitive.
Bernadette.
No price is prohibitive.
Best thing about the Dreamcast version is you don't have to put up with the English dub, because there was a PS2 version that was released over here and the dub was horrendous.
Yeah. That whole game on the PS2, PS releases were all just terrible dubs and whatnot.
Has anyone ever played the original game in the series? One. Yeah, I don't think it ever got a port. No. I think it was exclusive to the Taito or G-Net's arcade system. I've played it on there, but I've never seen it on a system or anything. It's alright, it's good, it's not bad.
Okay, moving on. I will just let you, if anyone's interested, what my second favourite is. I'll enlighten you all. I know you've all been sitting on the edge of your seats. My second favourite is Under Defeat, which I am a massive fan of.
Yeah, good choice.
That is a really good choice. Oh, first is hard now.
One of the main things is the fact that it's a different setting to a lot of the other games that are in this genre. It's not a real world. I know it's in an alternative reality, and it's the graphical style as well. The fact that it's all 3D polygonal, the detail is fantastic. When things blow up and the trees all shake underneath them,
the reflections.
Yeah. Stunning game.
There's a little bit at the end of the it's only such a small thing, but at the end of the second level where you destroy that massive warship and it kind of starts to sink, and then it starts raining.
Yeah,
that looks amazing.
Yeah. All the water just kind of hitting off the propeller blades, and it's just that's the kind of detail.
Wasn't that one of the last Dreamcast games?
Yeah, it was. I think it was 2006. I think.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it it was one of the
I wish I did.
first games I ever pre-ordered from Japan.
They have it down the street for me for $90.
I can't afford a copy of that, but I've got it on. They did a HD port on PS3, so I've got it on that. So something. I would still like a Dreamcast one.
I just wish it came in a jewel case. That's all.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, I think that's shared. I think all DC collectors are the same. We don't like them. We don't like them. Those DVD cases coming over to our shelf, stealing our jobs. I don't like them.
Yeah.
Cheaper plastic.
Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. If you got a copy of Cosmic Smash in a DVD case, you wouldn't poo-poo that. You'd add that to your collection. Come on.
I've got it. I've got a few DVD cases, but I just wish they were just in regular cases.
Yeah, I guess Cosmic Smash would be an exception. It's very classy.
It is nice.
Just see it next to all the other games trying to be superior.
Yeah, just going back to Under Defeat, I like there's so much stuff about the game I like the way that you can change the control settings. There's so much replay value. There's so many options, and it's so polished. I just think it's a really fantastic experience, as a whole. Okay, let's move on to the next round. We're moving on now to our least favourite shmup. I'm going to go in the same order, guys, so it's not favouritism. I'm going to start with, it might be. I'm going to start with Ross again. Ross, hit us. What is your least favourite shmup?
I'll give you 3 guesses, Tom. It is Ghostblade. Of course, Ghostblade. It was the biggest disappointment. I hated it. I pre-ordered it months in advance. I watched the movies they put up there, which were completely different to the end game. The backgrounds looked really cool and everything. Those backgrounds that we saw above the sea with the waves and stuff.
Yeah, that was
not
really
in the
nice.
final game. The music was really cool, like a rock soundtrack, and instead we got some techno rubbish that wasn't even designed to match the length of a level. So you're halfway through a level and the music stops and you're like, oh, the boss is coming, and then it starts again. You're like, what is this? Controls weren't so bad, to be honest, but the bullet patterns were pathetic. The enemies kept on repeating themselves and were generic. The bosses' bullet patterns, some of them were just awful and just so easy. The bomb, they didn't even have a proper bomb animation or anything. It just, some weird wave went over the screen. But the single biggest flaw in that game is the frame skipping.
Yeah.
And not slowdown. I need to make a distinction here between slowdown and frame skipping. Slowdown is when a game can't handle producing, like, say, whatever frame rate per second it's set to. Let's say it's set to 30 frames per second. It can't handle those 30 frames per second. So instead of doing 30 frames per second, it spaces those 30 frames like a little longer, maybe for 1.4 seconds or 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever. And that's what a lot of cave games do. And that's the best way to do it. A lot of bullet hell shmups do that. And
sometimes it makes the game easier, doesn't it? It actually helps you a little bit.
But it's the only way to do it, because if you take the Ghostblade route of frame skipping, then the game like slows down to 10 or 15 frames per second, and you cannot maneuver out of the way of the bullets because you just can't see them coming. Like, you see a bullet is on the other side of the screen, and the next second you're dead.
My most recent purchase, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Guess where you bought it from?
He found a sucker.
I almost bought it off you, but you kind of put
I've been trying to sell that for months.
I will say he's the worst salesman on the planet. Literally told me how much it sucks as he's telling me the price.
Yep, did the same to me.
Guys, I quite liked it. But carry on, Ross.
on top of that, the difficulty is ridiculously easy. I 1cc'd it on my third or fourth attempt. There's no difficulty settings. Don't let the options fool you. There's no difficulty settings. Easy is just automatic bomb. Normal is non-automatic bomb. That's not a difficulty setting. If you play any shmup, there's difficulty settings where they'll have more enemies or more difficult bullet patterns. It was just terrible. And it was just, honestly, I played it, completed it within an hour or an hour and a half, and I was just like, what did I just pay 30 quid for? And some people might say, oh, it's an indie game, you can't be too harsh on it. But hey, I paid full price for that game. If you're going to sell me an indie game for $8 or $2, hell, I don't think that game's even worth $2 in a Steam sale, but if you're going to sell it to me at that price, I can be a bit more lenient, but when you're charging full price, I expect a decent game.
Best investment ever.
So, Ross, are you saying you didn't like it?
Didn't like it, mate.
That was pretty comprehensive. Let's move on. Mike, your least favourite shmup.
Ooh, I don't have to pronounce this now because I think Ross said it was different. But Kuru or
Karas, it means crow in Japanese.
It's just really disappointing, boring. It's just boring, and I thought I would like the style. I sort of like the sort of gothic sort of style, and that's my kind of thing.
How does it compare to Radilji? Because I know it's
it's very similar, but with Radilji, you've got sort of like ridiculous sort of colourful icons that I still have no idea what they actually mean, and just ridiculous things in. This game is literally dull.
It's grey, isn't it? It's very grey.
And it sounds a good idea, but it's just boring. And I think, although it's not actually technically the worst shmup on Dreamcast, or let's face it, but it just really, of all of the official ones, as it were, or GD1 pressed ones, it's just boring.
That's fair enough. Excellent. All right, cheers for that, Mike. We'll move on next to you, Aaron. What's your least favourite?
I'm going to almost sound like we're sort of just like picking on a poor indie developer now, but out of the games I've owned, like the ones I've actually purchased, and in this case pre-ordered, I'm going to have to say Ducks, like the original Ducks. No emphasis on 1.5, because I actually think they made a lot of improvements with that, and it's actually more playable.
No, it's awful.
But the original Ducks was one of the most disappointing games I've bought on the Dreamcast. Like, especially for the full 40 quid and the 2-year delay, at least 2-year delay it had. And then when it arrived and I played it, and I even did like a Dreamcast Junkyard YouTube video of it, after about 10 minutes I was like, oh, great. I never want to play this again. It was... I don't even know how to describe it. It didn't feel like I was doing anything. Like, it doesn't feel like anything.
The sound effects, do you think, in Ducks?
There's none.
There's no sound effects for shooting. There's no sound effects for hitting something.
There's no visual cues for anything either. It just feels very Flash, like a Newgrounds thing. It's just... I don't like being harsh on indies, and I know that in this case it was their first game, and they've improved since then, not including Ghostblade. But I do think 1.5 was a step in the out of all the Ducks games. I also found Redux really disappointing, mainly because of the lower resolution. It made everything look just kind of pixelated and bad. But 1.5 I actually found decent. Like, I thought that was acceptable. That's the best version. If you're going to buy any version of Ducks, just get that one. Like the dual case version.
That's the only one I own. I thought it was awful.
To be honest, that's the only one I want to get now. And then I can get rid of the other versions.
I'll sell you mine, mate. I'll sell you mine.
I think it's worth mentioning at this point that this episode is actually sponsored by HuCast. So,
I was going to say, Tom, I don't think you can get any free copies of HuCast games for competitions anytime soon.
I'm so sorry. I'm just sorry because, like, Ducks was just, as you say, it just didn't really feel like you couldn't tell what was killing you. You couldn't tell if you were hitting things correctly. It was just really vague. I don't know if that's the right word. Like you start the game, all the sound effects are just sort of like. Yeah, I'll move on, but
I don't know if anybody else has played this game, but there's a game on the Atari Jaguar called Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy.
Okay.
It's a shmup for the Jag.
Is it worse than Ghostblade?
It's literally got no music. It's just silence, and you're just like shooting. It's like a little pea shooter. It's terrible. Go and look it up if you get a chance on YouTube. It's called Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. Anyway, cheers for that, Aaron. We'll move on now to Stephen. What's your least favourite shmup?
I do wish I had an original answer for this. I will keep it brief. Ducks, because it's shit. I feel the same exact way about every single point he made.
Steven, come on. Steven, tell us what you really think. Don't hold back.
Okay, so as you said, it feels like a Flash game on Newgrounds. I 100% agree with that. The music is meh. The graphics are meh. The goddamn sound effects are meh.
The music's alright later on, but
yeah. I mean, I've never gotten to later on because it's just something you throw your controller and give up on life with. It's as if somebody made it but didn't really give a single shit. It was like their last day and they had to make a game. And they were just like, fuck it, it's out now. It's good, it's fine, whatever. We'll fix it in the next release.
Well, we've shat enough on Ducks, so let's...
I don't think we have.
That's a weird podcast, shitting on Ducks. I'm not quite sure that would be. I'm not sure that would be.
Welcome back to Shitting on Ducks.
Might get higher on the... Just call it the Shitting on Ducks podcast.
That probably is a podcast somewhere.
I think originally the people said, like, oh, hey, Caleb, I think the guys, like, when I was getting my copy of Ducks 1.5, they're like, hey, guys, do you want to do a review of this Ducks? And I don't remember if they were telling me about Ducks, asking me to do a review of Ducks 1.5 or Ducks like Redux or something. And I was like, I think one of the other guys from the site is actually planning to do a review. So, I'm going to just leave it up to them.
I don't want to burn bridges.
HuCast have burnt their customer base, and anyone can criticize us for like slagging off or saying bad things about an indie developer. But at the end of the day, we put down £30 of our own money on that game, and they didn't deliver on the things they
promised. And for a direct comparison, I find most of NG Dev Team stuff was excellent.
Yep. Way better. Gunlord.
So much better. Fast Striker is fantastic.
Fast Striker,
That's actually really good.
Fast Striker 1.5 is amazing.
Before we go off on another tangent, we'll save that for our next round. Let's move on to Caleb. Caleb, what's your least favourite?
Well, Tom, thank you for saving the best for next to last. My least favourite chump is a game that I actually love, and it's my least favorite is Drill because they never released a real version of it, and that was like the one gimmick. Yeah, it was such a great gimmick, and they never finished it, but like they did a demo where it's like clearly this game is like almost finished. You could tell.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you enlighten myself and the listeners what it is you're talking about?
Drill was an independent game when I was first doing when I actually wrote articles for the Dreamcast Junkyard. This was
That's yonks ago now.
Yeah, I had the years and up now, but it's basically they released a demo for a vertical shooter on the internet, and it was on all like the DC Evolution websites and all that
homebrew collections,
and it was on like this big collection of other stuff. And basically, it's just it's a shooter where the gimmick is that you can turn into like a drill and then just physically attack enemies by like running into them and just destroy them. And it was ridiculously fun. And I think it really solved. It's a simple gimmick that I don't think any other shooter implemented as well as they did it in this demo. And they never finished the game.
On those DC Evolution discs along with Drill, Dynamite Dreams, and that's just been kickstarted. So if the developers are still around and they've still got a passion for it, they've got a chance there. Kickstart that shit.
I'm watching the video. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody still has it. if anybody still has the old files,
like the bullet patterns are really creative.
And it's your least favorite because it never came out. Just to clarify,
and it never came out. It was just a tease, and I honestly think that's the worst when you see something that could be an incredibly solid concept, and for whatever reason it just doesn't happen, and you're left with a little bit of a taste in your mouth. That's the worst for me.
Just to go back, I've never heard of this before now, so thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'm going to.
Didn't you read my articles back in the day? I wrote articles about it. Come on. Did you read the articles?
It was like a long time ago.
I know I don't write articles now. I occasionally shoot a Game Gear with a Dreamcast light gun. I do that.
It sounds like an important job, though.
Come on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the most important job's got given to Caleb.
I'm important.
Okay, my least favourite one. This is actually going to go against something that somebody else has actually already said on the podcast, and that person is actually our guest, Stephen.
Okay.
My least favourite is giggling.
No, I didn't hear 2 after that.
Oh, well,
you forgot the 2.
I've actually written Gigawing 1 and 2 here as my least favourite. It's just because I don't know what it is about the series. I'm just not a fan. I think it was the fact that something you mentioned was the fact that you could actually just go through the game with like infinite lives, and I just
you could just sort of spam bomb and then
it kind of completely cheapens the entire experience.
If you're a lot of shmup players, they don't. It doesn't matter if it's got infinite lives or infinite continues or free continues. They only play for one continue, and then however far they get, they start again.
Yeah, well, I can totally see. I know there's a massive culture of like hardcore shmup players, but for someone like me who's like a bit of a casual player, I started playing it and I was just like, I've got infinite lives. Like, where's the challenge?
That's funnily enough exactly what the official Dreamcast magazine said about it, and that's why they gave it a 5 out of 10 back in the day.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Like the UK magazine gave it like 5 out of 10. I was like, I ended up buying it cheap anyway. I ended up being like, no, it's fine, it's good, I like it. But the magazine was like, I think they said that exact thing though. They said about the fact that you can just infinite life, so it just takes all the challenge away.
Play it in the arcade on the CPS2 where you got to pay money for it. Then
find one first.
I know what you mean. If you've got infinite lives and continues, then you don't value.
Or just pretend there is an infinite life there, and every time you die, just go, well, I'm done.
Well,
next week.
I think the real players actually keep a pile of quarters by their couch, and then they eat a quarter every time they restart the game. That way it's gone.
Okay, so we've discussed our second favourites, and we've discussed our least favourites. Now we're going to move on to our favourite shmups.
Warning, warning, favorite games approaching. Warning, favorite game.
Now, we're down to business now. We've already discussed our second favourites. We've discussed our least favourites. Now, which are our favourite shmups on the Dreamcast? Now, I'm going to say this again. I've said it. I think I might have mentioned it earlier. I'm not a massive shmup aficionado, but I do know what a good game is. So I will appreciate whatever anyone else says on the podcast. Everyone's opinions are valid. We're going to start again with Ross. Ross, no pressure. You don't have to please anyone but yourself. Enlighten us. What's your favourite shmup on the Dreamcast? It has to be on the Dreamcast, by the way. Don't start going on about some random Naomi thing.
Well,
no PS2 family game.
Almost got the top spot for me. Almost. It's a fantastic game, but I've got to go with Millennium Soldier.
What?
No. I'm fucking with you, Tom. No.
Fucking where?
Not Millennium Soldier. Ikaruga. That's right. Slip of the tongue. Ikaruga. It's got to be.
Oh yeah, because it sounds so similar. Millennium Soldier and Ikaruga.
Yeah.
Expendable Ikaruga. Yeah.
Ikaruga was the game that got me into shmups. I mean, at the time, I wasn't at all into any 2D games. I mean, I'd been into the Mega Drive, and then I didn't have a 32-bit or 64-bit system. I moved on to a Dreamcast, and I wasn't interested in anything 2D. And I think that was kind of the feeling at the time. A lot of the magazines were like not giving good reviews to 2D fighters or shmups and things like that. But yeah, I wasn't really into shmups. While the Dreamcast was contemporary, not including the very late releases. By that time, I was kind of into them, but I read a review in, I think it was Games TM magazine, which used to be a fantastic magazine, still good, but not as good as it was. And it was reviewing Ikaruga for the GameCube. And yeah, it really left an impression on me, this review, and just looking at all the pretty patterns and stuff. And I took a chance and I bought the game, and I absolutely loved it. And that's what got me into shmups in the first place. I've now got it for Dreamcast, but the first time I played it, the first time I 1cc'd it on easy mode, I still can't 1cc it on normal mode, was on the GameCube. But yeah, did anyone else choose it as their favorite? Well, now maybe you've changed, but does anyone else have it up there in there?
What? The only reason I haven't put it in the top, even though I think it's a masterpiece, is because I'm terrible at it. I could barely get anywhere in it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've not got it as my favourite, but I think it's a fantastic game. And
it's great.
Stunning.
I think it's awesome, but there is another.
The soundtrack is incredible.
Yep.
For me, it's the mechanic of changing between dark and light. It's so original. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also
people are still ripping it off to this day.
I mean, I think like 90% of people who play it never get even like it's got even more advanced scoring system and stuff with you got to match the 3 colors of enemies. And I think the vast majority of people who play it, and I did myself, I played it for years, never even bothering with the scoring mechanic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Did you see the video that Rob put up on the Junkyard a few months ago about the Tazbot that played it like in tandem with the 2 players?
I watched that.
No,
live.
I've seen 2 real people. Well, I've seen a video on YouTube of one guy playing 2-handed.
Yep.
Ikaruga, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. He was playing 2-player, wasn't he? By himself, with sticks and the buttons. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an ancient video now. That's like one of the earliest YouTube videos I ever saw.
I still can't do it for beyond level 2. I cannot keep chains going whatsoever. But level 1 and 2, I've had many hours of fun frustration, smashing controllers,
all of the emotions
of getting through those levels, like keeping my combo going like through the whole level. So yeah, it really is like if you want to play it casually and just put in a few credits and complete the game, you can do it. Or if you want to spend a lifetime playing it and like you want to play it 2-player at the same time, you can do that as well. So yeah, fantastic game.
Wicked. Nice one. All right. Excellent. Let's move on. Mike, what is your favourite shmup?
So my favourite shmup is Zero Gunner 2.
Excellent.
Hey, nice one. I really want it.
And the reason I picked it is because it's probably the most untraditional shmup for people like me who aren't sort of massively into the genre. It was a really good game to sort of get into it because it felt different. It didn't have some of the bits which sort of annoy you about shooters, things like the bosses. I even now, I've played all the shmups on Dreamcast, but I can't stand bosses that just overstay their welcome. Massive sort of screen filling monstrosities that just sort of
multi-tiered things that are a ship that turns into a robot, that turns into a smaller robot, that turns into a spaceship, that turns into another robot.
I think the ones in Zero Gunner 2 don't actually say their welcome. I think that's really important. I think it's that the graphics are really good. They're not quite under the feet levels, but they're really good. The Alpine Railroad one sticks in my mind. It's amazing.
One of the things that I really liked about that was the way that you could kind of move around like 360 degrees.
It doesn't feel like you're playing a standard shooter. For a long time, I couldn't understand why people liked the genre, and now I do. But from the outside, you can sort of see that it's just the same gameplay over and over again. And with Zero Gunner 2, it's not like that at all.
It mixes things
but it
up
retains
quite
everything
well,
which makes shooters great. When I first played it, I had never played it before. I didn't know much about it, and I was shocked by how good it was. Amazing game.
Awesome. Excellent. All right then, moving on. Gagaman, Aaron, favourite shmup?
This wasn't hard for me because I've put probably more hours into this game than maybe any other Dreamcast game other than Soul Calibur, I think.
Okay.
This is like one of the most played games on the system, Mars Matrix.
I may agree with that.
I absolutely adore this game.
I think at this point, Stephen, do you want to reveal what yours is as well?
I would also say, as to everyone's surprise, that it would also be Mars Matrix.
Yes!
Because it's the greatest game ever made. Just saying.
I'm so glad someone else appreciates it, because when that poll went up on Twitter and Mars Matrix was barely getting any votes, I was like, what is going on? What is wrong with you
I just think
people?
nobody's played it. That's all I can think.
Yeah,
that's the only explanation.
It must be. That's all it's got to be, yeah.
It's just too expensive.
I mean, you can make some little comparisons to Gigawing in the fact that you can eventually, very eventually, get infinite lives, and you can just spam stuff. But
I have those.
You have to earn that. You have to put so many hours into this game to get.
Well, that's kind of the best part.
Exactly. That's what makes it. That's what makes this game's replayability like go through the roof. It makes it one of the most all that work you have to put in to just unlock another credit.
How long have you been playing it?
For the last 10 years.
Oh yeah, I'm only at 7 or 8.
I don't know how many hours. Probably 100 hours. I don't know.
Just too many. What do you still have to unlock?
I think the only things I need to unlock now is the rest of the gallery. I'm not really worried about that. And the ones that are like $9,999,999,999,999, the ones that like.
Do you have the new ship color?
No,
you need it.
I think it's the ship color and the what is it like the Mars color where they just paint Mars.
Yeah, like one. There's new BG color which is 99 quintillion points, which is insane. As I've only earned 15 quintillion in the entire time I've owned it. And then there's
only 15 quintillion. So.
Yeah, no, it's it's almost nothing, but. Yeah, it's God, I love that game so fucking.
So guys, I've played this. I've played Mars Matrix. I've played it very briefly, and I didn't really get into it because I was about to go out the door.
It's hard to describe why it's so good, other than the whole grinding for points thing. It's really hard to describe, but it just feels perfect. I don't know.
Did anybody make note of the little sound effects when you collect the? When the sound effect that happens when you collect stuff in Mars Matrix, it's just amazing.
That's the other thing that makes that game so good.
Yeah, it's just every single thing about the game is designed to be satisfying. Whether it's the music, which is amazing, ethereal, sometimes just atmospheric, and it's different than anything you've ever played or listened to. And then you have sound effects, explosions. It's all sprite graphics, which goddamn is beautiful.
Compared to most other shmups, where it's like I still die in this a lot. But if you play it for about 20 minutes or so, you kind of feel your eyes just sort of glaze over and you don't even think about what you're doing. And you just get this blur of pink and blue bullets and you're just moving without even thinking and you just get into the zone of it. And sometimes I've even had headphones while playing it and just sucked myself into it. And the only other game that's done that on the Dreamcast for me was probably Rez. That's one of the only games I've sat in a dark room with headphones on and just totally immersed myself in.
I think 8 hours is the longest I've played it straight.
Stephen, I know you're a big fan of this game because I follow you on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, and every couple of days there'll be a load of posts about what you've unlocked in Mars Matrix. Obviously you put a lot of time into it unlocking stuff.
And screenshots in 16:9.
Okay, so what I'll say is this. 2 things. I can play just as good either way. Doesn't matter to me. But when me and my wife are playing, she likes it stretched. She likes the full screen. When I'm playing by myself, it depends on why I'm playing. If I'm playing for score, I do have it at the correct aspect ratio. If I'm playing for fun, which is most of the time because it's the greatest thing ever, I do fill the screen, and I don't mind, mainly because I do have that upscaler, and it is gorgeous on what it does to that.
The other thing I really love about the presentation is how almost nonsensical and pointless the story is. They literally have this big long lore for the game and they just fling it across the screen in seconds, and when you finish your level it's just tons of text just flying across the screen oh by the way. It's
my favorite description of that game is it's a shoot 'em up that actually did crack cocaine and then heroin and then decided to play a bunch of amazing music. That is the most apt description of it ever.
Funny thing about the music, there's one song, I think it's near the end of the game, it's sort of, I can't remember the name of it, I think it's it might even be the last level before you get to the final boss. They used it in Sonic Heroes.
What? Really?
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, near the end of Sonic Heroes, when you... Spoilers of an old kind of crap Sonic game.
I will plug my ears.
When Metal Sonic transforms into this big, horrendous monster thing, when he's transforming, he plays music from Mars Matrix. It's really weird.
I would recognize it instantly. I have to look that up.
I was chatting with people in Sonic Retro about it, and they reckon it's just a sample, and both songs use the same sample, but it just sounds exact. It's really weird. It only plays for about 15 seconds in Sonic Heroes, but I'm convinced it's either the same sample or the exact same song because it's just odd.
This is your number one source for really obscure Mars Matrix and Sonic Heroes trivia.
This ain't just my top shmup. It's probably one of my top 5 Dreamcast games, maybe even top 2. I don't know. It's very, very high up there.
Would you concur with that, Stephen? Or?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's literally my favorite game ever made. There's nothing I've ever played in my life that I've ever liked as much as Mars Matrix. I'm getting a sleeve done actually, tattoo wise, and I'm pretty excited about it. But
oh wow,
you know, I mean, it's the greatest thing I've ever played, and cannot stop going back to it.
Yep.
So you're gonna get Mars Matrix into the tattoo?
Dreamcast tattoos. I hear Ross is getting a ducks tattoo quite soon.
Shitting on ducks.
I do find it quite interesting though, Stephen, that your two favorite your two favorite Dreamcast shmups are Gigawing and Mars Matrix.
Why is that?
Both of them are originally on the same arcade hardware, CPS2.
Yeah.
I would say recently, Gigawing was always my answer for 2. But now, it's kind of between Gigawing and Fast Striker 1.5, I would say, in all honesty. And screw you all if you don't agree.
No, both fantastic games.
Of all the indie games, that's probably my favourite indie shmup on the Dreamcast.
Because you just zone out. It's super fun.
It is really good, yeah. I've really enjoyed it.
Right, guys, let's move on. That's a brilliant, well, I was going to say write-up, but talk-up for Mars Matrix. I need to put more time into that because I've only played it very briefly.
Just one last thing on it. If you haven't played it yet, please, for the love of God, try it. Like, it's just try it.
Even if you just burn a copy off and try it off for a few hours, just give it a few hours as well. Don't just play it for 10 minutes and go, I keep dying, it's rubbish. Yeah, actually, you have to sink yourself into it for a bit.
Play it on MAME if you can't even be bothered to burn a copy, just play it on MAME. MAME will run it beautifully.
Yeah, but the MAME version isn't as good, though.
PCs emulate CPS2 near perfectly now.
Yeah, but there's no unlockables, so half the awesomeness.
Oh, there's no unlockables. Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough.
All right, guys, let's move on. Caleb, what's your favourite shmup on the Dreamcast?
My favorite shmup on the Dreamcast has got to be Ikaruga. And not because because I was running a video game tournament, and basically I put on Ikaruga, and the idea was to see how long these kids could last playing this game without dying. So literally I had a stopwatch there, and it was just so amazing to see. Yeah, it was an all ages tournament, but it ended up being mostly, 15-year-olds and, young, mid-range teens who came to this thing. So it was just an amazing experience to see these guys playing it. I had a projector with VGA inputs that I had the Dreamcast plugged into, and it was just great fun seeing these guys try to figure out the concept of this game in real time and try to survive as long as possible to get forward in the tournament. It was great.
How long did the winner survive, out of interest?
I believe it was actually like 4 minutes.
That's, for people that are playing it for the first time, that's not bad.
He was by far.
Yeah,
he was
for
by
someone
far
playing it for the first time.
Yeah. I suppose when you first play it and you got the different coloured bullets, you don't realise that you can actually change the colour of the ship. So you kind of you have to get your head around that first before you can actually get good at it. Yeah, cool. No, it's a good game. I love Ikaruga, but obviously not as much as the one I chose for my favourite, which is one we've already mentioned. So it's not going to come as any real surprise. But the game
Ghost Blaze.
My favourite is Stormwind. The one that Mike chose as his second favourite, and I've actually written. Yeah, it's actually one of my favourite games on the Dreamcast. Regardless of what the genre is. And the reason for this is because a little bit of background on Stormwind. I don't know if anyone here else knows this, but it actually started life on the Atari Jaguar. It was a game called Native, and I'm quite a big fan of the Atari Jaguar, as you probably...
As you never
I've never heard that before.
So there's quite a few like nods to the Jaguar origins of the game in it. There's one level where you kind of move down vertically, and these boxes kind of fall from the top, and they've got the Jaguar logo written on them.
They get away with that.
I have no idea, but it's done by Duranic. We did a developer interview with Duranic a few months ago, and he's a really cool guy. And it was just really nice to actually get to speak to the guy who made this game that I'm such a massive fan of. a couple of things I've written down here for the reasons that I've picked it as my favourite. I don't think a lot of people really class it as a traditional shmup because it's not, it's not bullet helly, and it's obviously it's an indie game and it's quite a recent release. But things like the visuals, I think the visuals are amazing. I know that you, Ross, spoke with Scott about it on the last episode, and you weren't that enamoured with the visuals.
Are good. I think the visuals are good. I think it's a good game as well. The one thing I didn't like was the collision detection on the background. The elements in the background doesn't quite match up to what you see on screen.
Agree with that. Yeah.
That was one thing that for me, it's still a good game, and I'm not going to criticize the developer. It's still a great effort by them, but it doesn't put it up in the ranks of the top shmups on the system, in my opinion. But it's still a good game.
The thing that kind of got me with it was the first time I ever played it, and it was just so awe-inspiringly good. And I was just like, this is an indie game? The music, the graphics, the mechanic of having to switch your weapons, and
it does not look like an indie game at all.
No,
it's on par with. There's a couple shmups that I was playing on the PS3 that were, I think they're also like European developed as well, and they were very similar. And the graphics in that are almost in style, really similar, if not better than this game I played on the PS3. It was shocking.
There's a game on the PS Vita that I quite like called Soldner X2 Final Prototype.
That's it.
That's and it's very similar. Even some of the bosses. There's a boss where you fight against this this big face, like this man, and there's a similar boss in Stormwind. So, I'm not going to go into it too much because obviously Mike talked about it a little bit earlier, but for everything that Mike said, that and also just how professional it is, really, I just think it's
like
a really,
FMV
really
cutscene
good game.
At the start was amazing.
Yeah. It's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah,
just beyond. I really want to see what that developer does next. I mean, I know they were working on that game for 10 years? They must have been working on that for a long time, because for it to start out as a Jaguar CD game and then for them to, keep rebuilding it for others, porting it over to the Dreamcast and that.
And of course, Unlimited Edition came with a lovely, cuddly octopus cracker.
I didn't get that with mine. I've got the little 3D printed thing. Funny story about that, actually. I did a Dreamcast Junkyard Inside Out video for that I never got around to. I don't think I ever actually released it. Yeah. And what happened while I was holding the 3D printed spaceship, I snapped one of the bits off the back off. I was like, right, here's this thing. Shit.
So good build quality.
So my one's got like a tiny little chip in it.
Yeah, good build quality. Yeah.
It is 3D printed, to be fair. They're quite delicate 3D printed things.
Awesome, right, guys? I think we've gone round the table 3 times now. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've spoken about our favourites, our least favourites, our second honourable mentions, and we have literally touched on pretty much every game on the Dreamcast, or in Ross's case, ones that aren't on the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast family.
One last question that I have: what does everybody here use to control shmups?
Arcade stick. My arcade machine.
Standard Dreamcast controller.
I mainly use the Dreamcast controller, in particular with Mars Matrix, because I like that the shoulder buttons do certain things, I think.
I can only use a D-pad. That's it.
Yeah, I don't use the analog stick, I use the D-pad, but I do mostly use controller.
I only use the DC Panther.
I can't play shmup with a D-pad, I can't, no way.
On the subject of weird controller options, I recently discovered that, Railroad Tycoon 2 is actually compatible with the arcade stick.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah,
you can't use the mouse, but you can use the arcade stick. I was like,
what?
That's weird.
Sounds right.
Did the game only use a D-pad, like on controller, or did it use the analog stick as well? Because that would maybe explain...
Analog stick, you can use the analog stick, yeah.
On the back of the box, does it advertise the fact, we're compatible with the arcade stick?
It does. It says arcade stick, but it doesn't show the mouse. That's
that
weird.
Is really strange.
Anyway, just a little bit of a even more weird Dreamcast trivia to the stuff we've already had on this episode, which has been really cool. Right, guys, I think we'll wrap it up here. We've had some really good chatter, and we've had some really good games mentioned, and I don't think we've left any out. Obviously, if we have missed out a shmup, I can think of
There's
one.
Plenty of good ones we've left out. I think
there's one. The only one that I can think of, personally, off the top of my head, is Noise 2 SA.
That's really good.
But I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Stephen, for agreeing to come on the episode.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much for coming on. And obviously, if there's anything you'd like to plug, your website, then please feel free. Go ahead.
I mean, just the common stuff, DreamcastHub.com, of course. I make T-shirts there and stuff. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the Twitter's actually at DreamcastHub.com, and the Facebook. Not sure the group, but the group is just called Dreamcast Hub. If you search for it on there, you'll find it. It's basically, we post all the stuff we get, and we have cool discussions and stuff there. It's pretty awesome.
Excellent. Well, like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I'm sure it won't be the first time. It won't be the last time that you're on the podcast. Yeah, and also thank you to my regular co-hosts. Thanks to Caleb, who can be found on YouTube at Blandco. That's Bland CO. Also, thanks to Aaron, the Gagaman. He can be found on Twitter at the Gagaman. Also on YouTube at the Lucky Hit Series. Thanks to Mike, who's on Twitter at Space Turnip. Space_Turnip. Don't forget the underscore. And also thanks to Ross, who is on YouTube at DCJY, the One Ross. As ever, thanks from me as well. I'm Tom, and I'm on Twitter at TomLeeC. But you can also find us as a collective on Twitter at the DC Junkyard, and of course on our main blog site, which is www.thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk, and also on Facebook at facebook.com/the Dreamcast Junkyard. We do also have a pretty popular group, so if you just type Dreamcast Junkyard into the search window on Facebook, you'll find us. And one other thing, I just want to make a little appeal here. If you like what you've heard, if you wouldn't mind going to iTunes whenever you get the chance, just to give us a review. It could be a 1-star or a 5-star review. It doesn't matter. Tell us what you think. It just really helps us with like the rankings in the charts and things. So if you like what you heard or not, please, go there and leave us a review. And it's just me now, actually, because everybody else has gone. But thanks very much for listening to this episode. And if there's anything you disagree with or liked or disliked, then, go to the blog site, find the post where the episode is being hosted, and just leave some comments. We always read them, and we love the feedback. So, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of DreamPod.
It's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.